All right, guys, welcome back. My name is Jake, and welcome back to the final round. Today, we're going to go over the pretty important victory for, can't speak freaking English, British middleweight, I was going to call him prospect, but Eddie Hensley, you can't call him a prospect, now he's a contender. Future rising star British contender, George Liddard. He is now coming off a pretty impressive TKO win over Kieran Conway. We'll go into his career briefly. I am going to quickly go over the card itself, just to shout out names, but then we'll get into George Liddard, how his career's gone, his win over Kieran Conway, and what could be next for the guy. I mean, he's 23, he's 13-0, he's good, but I don't know. I'll get to it when we get to the fight because I saw good things. I also saw things that, I mean, wasn't too impressed with. So, but yeah, we'll get into the card real quick. So we're back. Let's get into the put my hat back on actually. So quick overview of the card. Young you got. Let's see. Yeah. So this was at the. This was at the Bethnal Green in at York Hall in London. And this is what I do like that Matchroom does. Matchroom can do smaller events for British titles, for Southern Area titles, for the English title. I do like how they do that. I do like how they do that. It is pretty cool. And this was a pretty cool event. I mean, it only held probably like a good 1,000, 2,000 people, but it was packed. And it was really cool. Got to see that place full of shows. So you had young fighter Adam Maka, he went 3-0 for fourth round win over a guy who's 1 win, 21 losses, so not that impressive. If it takes you 4 rounds to beat a guy like that, come on, man. We got Andre Dilawau. He's 7-0. Decent super featherweight guy. Wouldn't, he beat a guy who was 8-9. Taimai Aiton, who is very, very sort of kind of already renowned in the British game as a women's boxer that could be something one day. Katie Taylor is really heavily endorsing her. She had a good win, a fourth round TKO win over Laura Belen Valdebenito. I don't think the fight should have been stopped. I think the fight could have kept going on. Valdebenito was taking good shots, but she was trading decently well in rounds 2 and 3. I thought that the fight could have gone on. She went down in the second, and and before that, she did get knocked down, but it really wasn't that bad of a knockdown in the fourth. She recovered well. She jabbed well right after the knockdown. But I get it. It makes sense. And then not Trevor Bryan. Taylor Bavon, not. I said Trevor Bryan. I'm thinking of the former the former WBA regular champion Trevor Bryan. You know what? I'm gonna put him down for a fighter profile. I don't know if Trevor Bryan's still fighting, but I want to give him some love. And also, sorry, I'm just writing it down on my list right now. On my fighter profile list. Come on, guys. Like 2 views for Samuel Peter. Come on, man. Come on, guys. He's put out some decent YouTube videos. I mean, man, like he's gonna get 2 videos. If Joe Bessie gets more, I'm gonna lose it. As Tony Stark said to Thanos in Infinity War, "You throw another moon at me, I'm gonna lose it." So not Trevor Bryan. Taylor Bevan. He's a young super middleweight, 24 years old. He advanced to 6-0 with six KOs. He fought Lucas Fernetza. He dropped him in the 5th, and then the stoppage came soon after that. Manuel Burcheg. He advanced 10-0. He's a pretty good young middleweight too. He's 20 years old. The guy's young, and he had a pretty decent. I mean, not a good fight, but definitely the best test of his career. His last fight took on a guy, Novak Radulovic, but he wasn't that good. He took on Christian Schembri, who I wouldn't say is a good fighter. I wouldn't say is a great fighter, but he's got a decent record. His records, prior to this fight coming in, was 27, 12, and 1. Yeah, whatever you say, you can't be an absolute can with a record like that. You have to have some mediocre wins. He didn't beat anybody decent. He has losses to a guy named Elton Azapardi, whose career record is 4-2-2. So he isn't a good fighter, but and almost all of his fights have been in Malta. But he boxed against Nathan Haney, who's a pretty good super middleweight guy. So is he good? No, he's not good. He's not that good at all. I don't think. But he's boxed mediocre, decent guys. So it was a pretty good win for Emmanuel Buttigieg. I can't say it again, man. And then Jimmy Jimmy Sainsy got a massive win over Troy Coleman. Massive win. I think Troy Coleman was favored going into this fight, even though Troy Coleman was going into the fight 14-3-1. They fought for the English middleweight title. I think George Liddard had it recently. Or did George Liddard never have the title? Yeah, I don't think George Liddard got that title, but it was held by Tyler Denny for a number of years. What's Tyler Denny doing in his career? I mean, listen, I don't think that that Howard Denny's world champion, but when he fought Hamza Shiraz, I was like, bro, he's gonna beat Shiraz, dude. I was like, bro, Shiraz. I was like, bro, upset. I remember telling people, I'm like, yo, Tyler Denny, upset alert. That was the dumbest thing I did. I texted a couple guys from my old gym. I texted my boy Denzi, and I was like, yo, bro, you seen this Shiraz guy's fight? Because I think because I think at the time, I don't know if I had his own, but I think he did. And he's like, hey man, I'm gonna watch this Shiraz guy. I heard he's good. What do you heard? And I'm like, bro, you own this Brit? He's like, yeah. He's like, I don't know him, man, but he seems okay. And I'm like, bro, this guy's Howard Denny, upset. And I told a couple of friends of mine who are from England or the UK, because I think they're from Wales. No, they're not. They're from Bristol. It's not Wales. Pretty close, but it's not Wales. I said it to some mates from Bristol. Hold on a second. Oh, discussions. Okay, I just saw like Derek Chisora versus Jarrell Miller. I'm like, whoa, discussions. Okay, which means it probably won't happen. I know I said Jarrell Miller should fight Anthony Joshua, but Derek Chisora is a good second prize for both guys. You know what I mean? Good fight. I remember telling some mates of mine from Bristol. I'm like, hey mate, Tyler Denny upset alert, mate. I'm telling you, mate. I'm telling you. I mean, I shouldn't have said that. I didn't know him. I watched a couple highlights of him. He's 23-3 and he's got one knockout. One knockout. That's freaking terrible. That sucks, dude. I mean, I've looked at his record. He kind of does suck. He's not a good fighter. But I was like, I don't know, man, because I think Tyler Denny trains under Boxer. Yeah, because I think he's under Boxer, so that's probably why he sucks. Poor guy. Let's see. Yeah, so it was a good fight. Troy Coleman fought good in the first round, but after that, man, Jimmy Sane just beat the crap out of him, dude. It was a good win for him. Troy Coleman quit on a still after the fourth. Shannon Ryan, she got a pretty big win. It was really, it shouldn't have been a technical decision. It should have been a TKO. Because I don't think the head clash really caused all this. Like, yes, I know the swollen right eye. See, when you stop a fight due to a technical decision, to a head clash, it doesn't say in the rules it has to be a cut, but it's sort of common knowledge it has to be a cut. Yes, the swelling started when there was a head clash, but she could. It was like this, so she could still see it before there was punches, and then it got closed due to punches. So I don't think you should have scored it. I mean, obviously, Shannon Ryan still won this fight by technical decision over Chloe Watson anyway. But whatever. And then the main event, Kieran Conway, George Liddard. I'm gonna give Kieran Conway some flowers. He's still a good fighter. He's 29. his nickname was Two Class. He was pretty classy in defeat, considering everything, all the boos he got in the crowd. Um, you know, and this is not a big like meaning or mean thing to say. A lot of British middleweights don't have a lot of power. Obviously Hamza Shiraz, but he's not British. I'm sure he's from the UK, but his family is not like, they're not like, they're not like, sort of the English British people. I think his family's from, I think Pakistan or something like that. Boy, Pakistan. That thing with that guy is like, what's your name? Where you from? Oh, Sheffield. Oh, yeah, Sunny. Funny skip. Yeah, I mean, Kieran Conway's a good fighter. And, but as I said, most of these British middleweights don't have, he's only got 7 knockouts and 23 wins, but he is a good, he's, when you watch him fight, he isn't like a moving, he can move and box, and he had success in this fight against George Liddard when he was, oh, hold on. All right, I think we can still see everything, right? I think so. I'm going to do, okay, I'm just going to put this one up, I'll put the other one after. So, in this fight, I thought that Kieran Conway did a good job of sort of kind of boxing well in the first, between rounds 2 and 5, he did pretty well. I did think that George Liddard did win the first, but it was a pretty good fight. But looking at his career, he's had some, not massive wins. I mean, when he lost to Derek Ozaze, 2019, that was a fight which, they're both young, and it was literally a 3-round freaking fight. And since then, Derek Ozaze has not done much. He's lost, and that was 2019. He hasn't fought much since that fight. He has not fought. He's fought enough, but after beating Conway, he got destroyed for not destroyed by Tyler Denny, but he got beat by Tyler Denny. He got beat by Denzel Bentley, and then he had a pretty solid fight with George Liddard recently. I think it was Liddard's previous fight. And but go back to Kieran Conway. He had a really good fight with Tez Cheeseman back in 2019. In the same venue, at the York Hall, at the Bethnal Green, and it was a really close fight. I actually remember. I think at the time it might have not been on the Zone. I think it was on the Zone. And this is when Eddie Hearn was all like, he all was like, oh, it's not Ted Cheeseman. I mean, bro, you get Ted Cheeseman has not fought in 4 years. I'm sure he's done, but yeah, the big cheese. His career record was 17-3-1. He was a decent fighter. I'll probably do a profile on Ted Cheeseman at some point, just to give him some love, because the Troy Williamson fight was, that was a freaking destruction. I mean, he fought his ass off, but he got his ass kicked. Yeah. What the hell? Oh yeah, when he knocked out James Metcalf, that was great. So he has a draw to Cheeseman, and he beats good guys like Craig O'Brien, Navin Mansouri, McGowan, Chisoko, he lost to, Suleiman Chisoko lost to him by decision. That was actually, was that the Canelo card? I think that was the Canelo card. Yeah, that was the Canelo card with Billy Joe. So I'm just, because this is when Eddie started to promote, some Canelo fights. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah, that actually makes a lot of sense, because there was some really good fucking fights on that card. Melvin Soto, he had a massive win. Oh yeah, and then Frank Sanchez had that over Nagel. That's why I thought that Frank Sanchez was really good. Oh, hey, Keyshawn Davis was on that card, and I thought Top Rank loser. He's not a loser, but Yeah, I give him credit. He's the WBO champion. He's not gonna fight anybody this year though. He'll fight once a year like most champions. Man, his card had some good fights on it. Kelvin Davis on that card, sweet. Some good fights on that card, dude. But yeah, it was a good fight for him. He lost to Joko. I thought it was a close fight. I actually remember watching that. He dropped him in round 9, a split decision. He then beat James Metcalf, had another win. And then he fought Mr. Austin Ammo Williams, who, listen to me, man, I still think Ammo is a good fighter. I don't think Ammo is going to become a middleweight champion, but I've said this before to many people. I'll say it now. And I will make a video about Ammo Williams. You know what? I'm going to put that on my thing. Because I think he could give. I know he just beat Ivan Vasquez, and he's not anything good. And, you know, his last 3 wins aren't great since the loss to Shiraz. But, you know, yeah, he boxed Shiraz well, and he did lose, but it wasn't like he got destroyed, you know. Oh, he's a good fighter. Oh, Jesus Christ. But he's you know, he's proven he can pretty much beat anyone at British level and, you know, the American, you know, sort of kind of regional level. So I think he's a solid guy, dude. I don't think he's bad at all. The problem with Emma Williams is that he didn't beat Shiraz, which was a big fight for him, but I'm gonna put him. Let me say this. Sorry, guys. I'm gonna pause while I write this for a second. I'm sorry, guys. I sort of do this sometimes. I'm like, oh, this guy. And see, when I'm at work, I have, I have the Pro Boxing Podcast in, or I have some other, or Joe Rogan, or some podcast in my ear, and I get ideas, and I don't have the time to get paper out of my pocket if I have it and write down stuff on the list. So I usually forget until I'm doing videos. Oh, box rec, and then I look at box rec and go, oh man, it's some good fights. Yeah, I know. Come on, what are you doing here? So, yeah, he's he hadn't lost since his fight to Emma Williams 3 years ago. He had some good wins since then. He defeated Ryan Kelly by split decision 2024. He knocked out Jerome Warburton for the for the British title. He already had the Commonwealth title, so this was for the Commonwealth and British title. And now let's get to the fight. So, as I mentioned early, Kieran Conway was boxing well. As soon as it got to the middle rounds, George Liddard he stepped on the gas. And here's what I'll say. I'm not going to go into all the X's and O's. George Liddard did some things well, but he was just more active, more aggressive, definitely the harder puncher. He was he the sharper puncher? Very early he wasn't, but late when Kieran Conway. I think Kieran Conway got hurt really bad in the 9th, or was it the 8th or the 9th? I think he hurt his hand. I think it was a right hand, because I think it was his right hand. I think he threw a right. I think it sort of clipped either like some of the guard of Liddard, or I think maybe like it was a weird angle, and he stepped back and he went, oh crap. And then Liddard pounced on him, and then soon after that, he dropped him. And I thought the fight was over after that point. His corner let him go out for the 10th, and then he just got battered for the rest of that fight. And then his corner threw in the towel, which sort of pisses me off when the corner sees an injury and he's not winning a fight. Why let him go out for that extra? If you're gonna throw the towel in, if you're gonna let him fight, fine. But if you're going to literally at that point pull him out after you let him go back out there, it makes no sense. But whatever. And it goes in the books as a 10th round TKO for George Liddard. And so look at his career. As I mentioned, he's young. He's 23 years old. He started fighting as a pro in 2022, 3 years ago. He did the typical thing. He fought absolute cans on small undercards for a lot of years. Or not years, but for a good while. He actually did have a fight in America. He fought a guy named Andrew Buchanan, who sucked. I'm trying to. Who was this on? I feel like this was on a DAZN card. Yep. I knew it. It was a Conor Bennett. M. Williams was on this card when he knocked out Yasser. Khalil Ko. Oh, Khalil Ko's got a. Oh no, yeah, his fight got. Oh, I kept thinking that Khalil Ko and Jesse Hart were still fighting, but no, that fight was called off. I was pissed about that, man. I thought that was going to be a good fight. He had 2 wars with Manuel Gallegos. Man. Yeah, but this was a Conor Benn card, so that makes a lot of sense. But yeah, so, after that fight, he kept winning in Sort England. As I mentioned, defeated Derek Kazaze, who Kieran Conway, Kieran Conway lost early in his career. And then his recent fight before this one, he fought Mr. Aaron Sutton. He knocked him out. This was the eliminator for the British Middleweight title. And then he went in this fight and beat the crap out of Kieran Conway. And he is now the youngest British Middleweight champion. I don't know if he's the youngest Commonwealth, but he is the youngest British Middleweight champion at 23, which is pretty impressive for him. Let's take a look about where he can go. Now, he is ranked within the top 50 of the middleweight division. I will admit that he's got a top 50 ranking sort of kind of resume already. I think before this fight, I wouldn't have said so, but Kieran Conway is very, very good. All right, please tell me Yanibek has a fight. No, Yanibek has no fight. Of course, Yanibek has no fight. Of course he does. Of course, Yanibek has no fight. That's why Denzel Bentley should have won that fight, because that would have been important for stuff, but he didn't win, so whatever. Is Carlos Adames still WBC champion? He is. Does he have a fight? No, he doesn't. Do any of the middleweight champions have a fight? Oh, speaking of freaking, when's Shane Mosley? Who's he fighting? Shane Mosley Jr. He's fighting, I think he's fighting, Jesus Alejandro Rojas. I think he's fighting him, right? Is he even on here? I'm in the top 50 middleweights. I don't see him. Howard, no. He's got to be on here. I'm just missing him, right? He has to be on here. Come on, he's got to be on here somewhere. What? Okay. I give up. No, I'm looking for Shane Mosley Jr., yes. He's been fighting at fucking 60 for a while. Why can I not find him? He fights at middleweight. Is he not ranked high? Oh, yeah, because he hasn't fought in a while. Yeah. Oh, I know why. The fight, yeah. So, got it. So, yeah. So, obviously, people have, if you haven't heard, Sebastian Fundora, he hurt his hand before his fight with Keith Thurman, so that whole card has been postponed. It sucked because, that was going to have Shane Mosley Jr. versus Ramos Jr. for the WBC interim world middleweight title. You would Keith Thurman taking on, Sebastian Fundora for the super welterweight title. And then at super featherweight, you had Steve Fulton trying to become a 3-division world champion against Moshe Foster. Man, I was excited. Listen to me, I don't get very excited for sort of kind of, for the, for almost pretty much any PPC boxing cards. But I was excited for that, man. You had Frank Martin fighting again. I mean, he's not that good, but, good to see him back in action. Valenzuela Jr., Isaac Lucero, Daniel Blancas. I mean, you have good fighters, and I'm like, oh, sucks the card is canceled. It's still on here at BoxRec, but they haven't changed it, obviously. That pisses me off, man. It makes sense because Mosley hasn't fought in almost a year or two, so it makes sense why he's not ranked currently. I'm sorry, guys. I should be actually looking at this fight with Kieran Conway, but this is what I do a lot. Does Michaels Rafa? Oh, he's won. Okay, so back to business. George Liddard, what can he do at middleweight? Well, I see him around. I think the best obvious idea would be to get him to America. Get him to fight an American guy, middle ranked. I think the best thing to do is I don't know who he's fighting under, but he should fight this young, Now, obviously, this guy probably won't take the fight because he's not very good. Well, not good, but he's young. The 26-year-old Eric Priest. He's 16-0, 8 knockouts. He's not like anything special. I haven't watched much tape on him. But his last fight was in May 2025 when Darius Fulgham got beat he had a pretty close fight with Bektimir Melkuziev, who is, I think he ranks super middle, but he's the guy's kind of a nut job because he's big bully B, but in my opinion he'll never recover from losing the fight to Gabe Rosado, which was knockout of the year, because he's had a bunch of wins since then, and he did get a rematch against Gabe Rosado, but which won by decision. But he is never really recovered from that loss. Like, he's won good fights, but he's not down. He's not like knocked anybody out. He's had a lot of decisions recently. But so that was on his own card. He beat Luis Arias, who's he's not great, but he's fought some decent guys, so it makes sense. I mean, for me, you throw him against a guy like Eric Priest, 26 years old, another young guy. What you could do is you could throw him against. What you could do is you could throw him against someone like Denzel Bentley, who's fought for a world title. He is 30 years old. He's a good fighter. He is coming off a what's going on? Why is this happening? He's coming off the win, and the reason why the British Middleweight title is available is because after his fight with Brad Pauls, which he won by decision, he hasn't fought since then. So, he's a good fighter. He had a pretty decent fight with Yanibek for the WBO title, but he hasn't. I don't know if he's world level, but I'm assuming in terms of who's next, probably will be Denzel Bentley. Now, what's going to happen is he's going to fight some guy who's like he's next going to fight a guy who's probably 15-6, who's ranked like 300th because they want to keep him active and you don't want to throw him against the Wolves yet. But I hope he can maybe fight Denzel Bentley. I think a fight with Liam Smith is certainly on the card, especially after he lost to Aaron McKenna. Patrice Volney, he's 36, he's 20-2. If I had to pick one guy who's ranked above him, who I would expect him to probably fight, it's probably Patrice Volney because he's 20-2, because he's Canadian, because he's 36. He's probably the guy who I'd say has the best chance of actually fighting him. But he could fight somebody like Michel Soro, who's 37. He's got a good record. 38-4-2. He's I think Michel Soro is a former world champion, right? Or did he ever win a world title? I don't think he did win a world title. Did he? No. He lost to Zarbek Bainsagarov years ago. So that's true. He never actually won a world title. He's a guy who's up there. Michael Zarafa, he's 33. He's 34-5, former guy. He's a guy up there. Now he's probably not going to be fighting guys like Austin Emma Williams or Carlos Adames or Aaron McKenna, or maybe like Vadim Tukov. He ain't gonna fight those guys yet, but he's on the track. So we'll see what George Liddard can do. Here's what I'll say. I thought that he fought well. He was active, punch, but I saw a lot of technical holes that someone with more experience and more technical ability than someone like Kieran Conway can actually exploit. Like, personally, if he did fight Austin Emma Williams, I think he would get clipped on counters all night. Because that's the good thing that Austin Emma Williams is great. He's a great counter puncher. He's not great at attacking sometimes. He pisses me off when he attacks, but he's a good counter puncher. And someone like him, someone like a Michael Zarafa or a Michel Soro could exploit if he got into those areas. That's why I think a fight with someone like Patrice Volney is a good fight, because he's 36. He's one of the ranked guys. He had a pretty Yeah. To me, the fight was close with freaking Austin Williams. I don't think Fred Flutie's an idiot. Thought it was a blowout, but he's a good fighter. He beat Stephen Butler, who's not a great Canadian fighter, but still a solid Canadian fighter. DeAndre Ware. Oh, that guy. I know who you're talking about. Okay. Yeah, he's not a great fighter, Patrice Volney, but he has two losses, and they're both Musquito Falco, who isn't a great fighter. He's not he isn't a great middleweight. He got beat the crap by Vincenzo Galtieri. But I do think someone like Patrice Volney, who has proven he can beat some of the he can beat some of the Brits at that sort of level. So I think that's a fight that definitely could happen. But I'm not saying it will. I'm just saying that Patrice Volney is 20-2. He's 36. He's somebody. I said if I had to pick one guy who's ranked above him right now who he'd fight, it's probably Patrice Volney because of his age, his record. It's the perfect fight to advance him further in the middleweight division. But we'll see. We will see. So that is my hold on. Yeah, that is my not view. That's what I think about the career of George Liddard right now, following his TKO win in the 10th round over Kieran Conway. So that's gonna do it, guys. My name is Jake. Thanks for watching, and remember, the greatest fighters always leave it all in the final round. See ya.